Hello ladies, gentlemen, and Gothamites. My name is Emily Sophia and I'm going to be breaking down for you guys the fall finale episode of Gotham entitled LoveCraft. So this is season 1, episode 10, spoiler alert, as I will be bearing all in this review. So yet again, I am not in my usual habitat for vlogging. I am still at the Oregon coast, as I was yesterday with my vlog review for The Walking Dead. You can find a link in the description to that episode review. And anyways, so I'm just gonna, pop a squat on the floor. I got my laptop here with me, with my live tweeting notes, as it were, and we're gonna break down this thing together. So I really enjoyed this episode, and I think that it was a very refreshing change of pace and an interesting note to leave off on for the next couple of months, as we won't be returning to Gotham until February, I believe, around which time we're also going to be starting Better Call Saul, which I am going to be reviewing too, so that's going to be very exciting and fun. Lots of stuff to break down. So I have to say, just as the Penguin has emerged as a truly powerhouse character in the Gotham universe, we have seen that same thing occur with the character of Mr. Alfred Pennyworth, who has proved his weight in gold and diamonds abundantly in this episode and the ones prior as well. I freaking love that dude, and it's so funny, all the references throughout the episode that talk about him, like, oh, I'm just the butler, and then when he is reunited with Bruce after the wild chase with the assassins, and, kind of their way of coming back together and expressing comfort and joy at seeing one another again, he says, if you die, Alfred's saying this to Bruce, if you die, who hires butlers anymore? And we know, and that's what's so beautifully ironic, as we know that he is so much more than just a butler. He's a father figure, he is family, he is a protector, he himself has the skills of an assassin. He knows how to work the freaking system. He knows how to seduce Fish Mooney. He knows how to fight in hand-to-hand combat. He knows just about everything there is in the book. He is a jack of all trades and pretty much a master of everything that he has dabbled in. And that is what is so fantastic about his character. And what I love about what Gotham has done with the fallout of the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne is that it doesn't keep killing Bruce's parents over and over and over again. Yes, that has been the starting point for so many films and comics and stories in the Batman corner of the DC universe. It always begins there, and it seems like we just have to kill them over and over again. But what we see arise from the ashes of Bruce's parents' death is this truly beautiful relationship between Bruce and Alfred, one that is incredibly affectionate and full of wit and understanding, and it's so cool to see how they've developed, how Alfred has gone from a place of, he's on the defensive about the ways that Bruce is choosing to live his life and the choices that he's making about how he wants to educate himself, and then he just gets right on the train and he's like, okay, let's do this thing for real. Like, if this is the path that you want to take, I'm totally in. And it's just so fun to see him kind of smirk around the periphery of Bruce's chats and encounters with Selena, and he knows everything that's going on. He is one smart cookie. So he's always picking up on this stuff, but he never lets on. He never comes across as too heavy-handed. And so I have to say that he and the Penguin are a couple just shining paragons of this series, and I really look forward to seeing what's going to happen with them in the future and where things are going to go. So I'm gonna do my best to cover everything in this episode, and again, I think it was really cool that we got to see a focus on Selena and Bruce getting some experience on the streets, with which Selena is very familiar. Discovering that the plot behind the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne is much crazier and more convoluted than we ever could have thought, because it's not just about LoveCraft, as Harvey Dent had so adamantly stated in one of the previous episodes. It seems to go beyond him. While the mayor wants to just leave things off at LoveCraft committing suicide because of the pressure that would be put on him for the allegations of calling for the Wayne's death, yada yada yada. But we get the sense, and Gordon gets the sense, that he's just a piece in this greater puzzle, and he wants to get down to the bottom of it, but he's not going to be able to do that quite yet. So I sense that solving the murder mystery of who done it with the Waynes is going to take a lot longer than we might have anticipated, because, well, just so happens that Gordon told the mayor to kiss his bahonkus, so he's going to Arkham Asylum for a new assignment. And I think that that's a really cool change of pace and a cool cliffhanger to leave things off on, because, you know, probably a lot of us were expecting the big blowout with the mob war, but that is still simmering. They are not pushing this thing too fast, and I applaud the writers for that, because I think that there is so much that is incredibly fascinating to watch with the unfolding of the Penguin's plan. And we see that he's kind of in dire straits with Falcone, who's concerned about how information about his bank was uncovered, and there is a mole in the operation, and who's gonna find it. And then we see that his trust in Fish Mooney is, ironically enough, further cemented by her simply yielding to the increased tariff that he poses to the rest of the mob family. And I have to say, when he said, you know, trust me and I'll trust you, woohoo, that is a pretty short-sighted policy if I ever saw one. Sir Don Falcone, Captain Falcon, I am afraid that that is not going to put you in a very pretty place in the future. Because when you think about it, of course somebody who wants to trick you, somebody who wants to undermine you, is going to pass themselves off as trusting you. So why would you trust someone on the basis of them trusting you when their trust could be a ruse, you know? Being as far up in the hierarchy as he is, you would think that he'd have a handle on that notion, and I don't know. He doesn't seem to express that in this episode, and I think that is ultimately going to be his downfall. But all that to say, I'm really glad that they didn't push things or make them escalate too fast with the mob plotline, because we're still, you know, just on the tip of the iceberg of Penguin's scheme, and we see that he's going to be up to a great many devilish things in the future, and everyone's kind of emphasizing that it's all about timing. It's all about timing. Fish says, you know, we have to wait our turn. The Penguin decides to wait instead of exposing Fish, and so it'll be cool to see when exactly the ticking time bomb bursts, because at this point we don't really have a good sense of that, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, because I feel that the writers know what they're doing with this plot line, and so I have a lot of hope in that being very interesting. And then we also get to see the Wayne murder case. There is some level of development in that. And then in this episode, we got some cool character development as well, which of course culminated in a fall season finale kiss of the young lovers. And I really love the dynamic between Bruce and Selena. And every time I see the two of them together, you know, one of my favorite shots in this episode was of Bruce and Selena they're kind of in the marshy lands right outside of the city. So we've got the skyline and the bridge on the right, and they're just staring off, you know, kind of in this open grassy space, this place of uncertainty. They're on the edge of everything that's to come in their lives, and here is the city, here is Gotham, here is this place that will define who they become. And it was just so, it really felt iconic to me. And maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion, but I don't give a crap. I think that was cool. I think that was nice cinematography, and I enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed all the interactions between them, and then with the whole crazy rooftop chase as Bruce insists that he needs Selena in his life, at least to have her testify on or against the murderer and all that jazz. And then there's these ongoing conversations of, you know, is she really a nice person? And she's like, actually, I'm not a nice person. And then ultimately, yeah, maybe you're a nice person. And so, you know, that's kind of the terms in which the two of them as children put things. But I think that all these conversations that we see and the conflicts between them at this point in time is going to inform the types of conflicts that they have when Bruce chooses his unique form of vigilantism and Selena pursues her cat burglary business. And we got to see a little bit of that too when she leads Bruce into the underworld, into kind of the big warehouse where all the homeless kids are hanging out. And we get to see a future Miss Poison Ivy as well, whom apparently Selena Kyle fears and finds creepy, so who knows where that's going to go. So she's kind of in an adoption situation after her mother goes off the rails and her father gets killed and all of that. So I think that her emergence here in this episode promises that she is going to return in the latter half of, I think it's going to be the next half of the season that we're getting in February. I don't think, is it a second season? I'm really not sure at this point. I guess I could look it up, but I didn't look it up prior to making this review, so sorry about that. Yeah, but it was kind of cool to see the three of them confronting one another, and we see that Poison Ivy's kind of got these weird personality quirks, but again, it's all just kind of ambiguous, and Selena thinks that she's creepy and tells Bruce that he needs to stay away. So that's all that we know. And so we get to see all the thrilling chases with the assassins and showdown, throwdowns, and I have to say that I am loving Harvey Bullock more and more every single day. He has really emerged as a very cool character in this season as well. I wasn't fully on board with him right away because he just seems so needlessly belligerent and kind of douchey, but really he's got as much of a heart of gold as Gordon does, but they're kind of in this yin and yang relationship by the end of things, and they're able to part on good terms as Gordon sticks it to the man and takes his new assignment. So I imagine that he's probably going to find his way back into the Gotham PD, but at this point in time, he's getting a time out in one of the least serene places in all of Gotham. And I think it was really sweet, the little embrace that he had with Mr. Enigma before, you know, as he's clearing his desk space. And we see, it's this really surprisingly poignant little moment where we know that Enigma's had it pretty tough in his department, and that he's constantly downtrodden and put down for his quirkiness and the way that he really struts his brain powers. And so he's been very marginalized, and he sees in Gordon, as do many people, many others not, but he sees in Gordon a friendship. He sees him as a friend and maybe a mentor, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of the relationship that the Penguin tries to strike with Gordon. So we see these future iconic villains of Gotham forging these friendships with Gordon, and it's really fascinating to see how those are going to play out and what that means for the kinds of conflicts and compromise situations in which Gordon's gonna find himself in the future. Poor freaking guy, you know, sometimes your friends choose you, and you just gotta roll with those punches. But yeah, so we got to see pretty much almost all of the major players in this episode, and I tweeted out some of my favorite moments as well. Of course, follow me on Twitter. I got a link in the description if you're ever curious to check out my live tweeting, and I do try and do it live Pacific Standard Time, of course. But one of the quotes that I loved by the Penguin talking about Mooney with Falcon was, "With respect, I don't understand why you still tolerate her existence. I feel that way talking with some people about, you know, respective friends or people that are just generally distasteful. That was something that I could really sympathize with. I love the Alfred and Bullock team up as they're trying to hunt down Selena, and Bullock goes, I could beat the truth out of this kid with a roll of quarters, as Alfred is just laying out the Benjamin Franklins for this street kid. And you know, they have different forms of currency that they work with as far as communication goes. And yet again, I love the way that Alfred works the system with Fish to get, you know, to drop hints about Selena's location and the dedication that he has to finding Bruce. That really drives and informs this episode. Again, it's really cool to see Bruce thrown into the darkness of the underworld, and he's frustrated with the way that this form of society works. And again, this lays the groundwork for that which he will become in the future. And also really cool, the final showdown with the mayor and Gordon, of course, as he says that Gordon doesn't know where the edge is. And Gordon told Bruce that fear is good because fear tells you where the edge is. But in this case, Gordon has no fear, and he says exactly what is on his mind, and he sticks right to his guns. So that is incredibly encouraging, and I like to see that. It was cool to see the season come full circle in that way. The fear, the presence of fear, and the lack of fear, and how that informs these choices that are made. And then also the assassin tells young Bruce, when she decides to let him walk because he's not part of the contract, she tells him, you know, don't mistake courage for good sense. And maybe that's a little bit of an omen for the situation that Gordon's gonna find himself in because of the way that he reacted about this injustice. And we see too that Harvey continues to be less of a white knight, and kind of, he's a bit shadier of a figure. Of course, he tries to stand up for Gordon a little bit, but he is at the disposal of his superiors, and he's kind of, you know, he knows where the edge is, so to speak. And I like the kind of imagery that's implicit in that statement, like knowing this edge. And I can't help but think of the, you know, Two-Face, who he will become, and that edge that divides one half from the other in terms of his facial situation, okay? But yeah, so I really love this episode. Super fantastic. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts, things that you wanted to see, things that we didn't see. Oh, we didn't see Barbara. Isn't that just peachy? I just feel so good. Maybe that's all these endorphins that are racking through my system. There's no Barbara. It's a good day. Really is a good day. I'm gonna go continue to celebrate off camera. So you guys, thank you so much for watching this review, for sticking through this season with me. It's really been a fun ride, and I'm looking forward so much to continuing this. In the meantime, come back for my review of the Walking Dead finale. It's going to be lots of insanity. And then I'm going to do whatever other reviews I can until the rest of my shows come back, and Better Call Saul is on the menu. So you guys, please take care. Fill in any gaps that I may have left, and as always, I will be back before you know it.